For centuries, Egypt has stood at the center of human history, admired as the birthplace of civilization. Its pyramids rise from the desert as symbols of humanity's first great achievements. Its hieroglyphs speak of gods and kings, and its monuments suggest a society that emerged suddenly from the shadows of prehistory. But what if Egypt was not the beginning? What if the civilization we call the first was actually the inheritor of knowledge far older than we have been taught to accept? Across the world, archaeological discoveries are forcing historians to confront an uncomfortable possibility: that a civilization existed long before Egypt, one advanced enough to shape the foundations of human society, yet erased so completely that only fragments remain. The traditional timeline of civilization places its origins around 3000 BCE, when writing, agriculture, and urban life appeared in Mesopotamia and the Nile Valley. This narrative assumes that humanity moved slowly and linearly from primitive hunter-gatherers to organized societies. According to this view, monumental architecture, religious systems, and complex social structures were impossible without farming, metallurgy, and written language. Yet this assumption rests not on definitive proof, but on what survived. History, after all, is not a record of everything that happened, but only of what remains. In recent decades, that assumption has begun to collapse. Archaeologists have uncovered sites so old, so sophisticated, that they no longer fit within the established framework. These discoveries do not merely extend the timeline of civilization, they challenge its very structure. They suggest that advanced human societies may have existed thousands of years earlier than we believed, only to be destroyed by forces that left little behind. One of the most significant of these discoveries lies in southeastern Turkey, on a quiet hill once dismissed as an unremarkable mound. Known today as Göbekli Tepe, this site has been dated to around 9600 BCE, more than 6 millennia older than the pyramids of Egypt. When archaeologists first uncovered its stone pillars, they were confronted with something unprecedented. Massive T-shaped monoliths arranged in circular formations, carved with intricate reliefs of animals, symbols, and abstract forms. These stones, some weighing over 20 tons, were quarried, transported, and erected with extraordinary precision. What makes Göbekli Tepe so disturbing to conventional history is not just its age, but the context in which it was built. According to established theory, people of this era were nomadic hunter-gatherers, lacking permanent settlements, agriculture, or advanced tools. Yet Göbekli Tepe suggests a level of organization that contradicts this image. The construction of such a site would have required coordinated labor, specialized skills, shared belief systems, and long-term planning. This was not the work of scattered bands struggling to survive. It was the work of a society capable of monumental thought. Even more puzzling is the fact that Göbekli Tepe appears to have been deliberately buried. After centuries of use, its builders filled the enclosures with earth, carefully covering the pillars before abandoning the site. This act was not the result of natural disaster or decay. It was intentional, as though the people who built it wished to preserve it or hide it from something yet to come. Why a civilization would bury its most sacred structures remains an open question. But it suggests foresight and awareness rather than collapse. Göbekli Tepe is not an isolated anomaly. Across the globe, evidence of ancient sophistication continues to surface. In Egypt itself, the Great Pyramid displays engineering precision that remains difficult to replicate even with modern technology. Its stones are cut with extraordinary accuracy, aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, and assembled in a way that suggests advanced knowledge of mathematics and astronomy. The sudden appearance of such expertise, without clear developmental stages, has long troubled researchers. It is as though Egyptian civilization inherited knowledge rather than inventing it from scratch. Further south, in Africa, vast stone structures and ancient settlements have been identified beneath the sands of the Sahara. Satellite imagery reveals traces of rivers, lakes, and cities in what is now one of the harshest deserts on Earth. Geological evidence confirms that the Sahara was once green, fertile, and inhabited by thriving populations. Rock art depicts cattle, ceremonies, and social life, indicating organized communities long before the rise of dynastic Egypt. These societies left no written records, yet their impact on the landscape remains undeniable. In South America, the ruins of sites such as Pumapunku and Tiwanaku present another challenge to conventional chronology. Stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons are cut with machine-like precision, featuring angles and joints that appear far beyond the capabilities attributed to the cultures traditionally associated with them. These structures show signs of advanced planning and engineering, yet they are often dated to periods when such technology supposedly did not exist. Like Göbekli Tepe, they seem to represent the remnants of knowledge whose origins are unknown. What ties these disparate sites together is not just their age, but their shared characteristics. Monumental stone construction appears suddenly across different continents. Astronomical alignments are repeated with remarkable consistency. Symbolic imagery suggests common themes of cosmology, ritual, and reverence for the heavens. This raises a question that history is reluctant to ask. Were these civilizations connected, or were they inheritors of a much older tradition? One possible explanation lies in the dramatic climatic events that marked the end of the last ice age. Around 12,000 years ago, the Earth underwent rapid warming, melting massive ice sheets and causing global sea levels to rise by more than 100 meters. Coastal settlements, which would have been ideal locations for early civilizations, were submerged and lost to the ocean. Entire cultures could have vanished beneath the waves, leaving little trace for archaeologists to find. What remains today may be only the fragments that happened to survive inland. Ancient myths and legends from around the world speak of a great flood that destroyed an earlier age of humanity. From Mesopotamia to India, from the Americas to Africa, stories describe a cataclysm that wiped out civilizations and forced survivors to rebuild. While these accounts have often been dismissed as symbolic or exaggerated, their global consistency suggests a shared memory of real events. If an advanced civilization existed before such a catastrophe, its destruction would explain both the sudden appearance of knowledge in later cultures and the gaps in the archaeological record. Critics argue that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and they are right to demand caution. The existence of a pre-Egyptian civilization more advanced than we acknowledge has not been definitively proven. Yet the evidence we do have is enough to question the certainty with which the traditional narrative is taught. History is not a closed book, and archaeology is not complete. Every discovery has the potential to overturn assumptions that once seemed unshakable. The reluctance to revise history is understandable. Established theories form the foundation of education, funding, and professional identity. Admitting that civilization may be far older and more complex than previously believed would require rewriting textbooks and rethinking humanity's origins. But science advances not by defending old ideas, but by following evidence wherever it leads. What if Egypt was not the cradle of civilization, but its archive? What if the pyramids, temples, and sacred texts were built by people who inherited fragments of knowledge passed down from survivors of an earlier world? This would explain why Egyptian culture appears fully formed, why its symbolism is so sophisticated, and why its monuments seem to emerge without clear precursors. It would also explain why similar motifs and architectural techniques appear across continents, separated by oceans, but united by forgotten history. The possibility of a civilization older than Egypt does not diminish the achievements of ancient Egyptians. Instead, it places them within a much longer human story, one marked by cycles of rise, collapse, and rebirth. It suggests that humanity's past is not a simple progression, but a complex tapestry woven from lost worlds and rediscovered knowledge. Today, many of the most ancient sites remain unexplored. Dense jungles, deep oceans, and remote deserts conceal countless ruins still waiting to be found. With each new discovery, the timeline of civilization is pushed further back, and the certainty of our conclusions grows weaker. What we call prehistory may simply be history we have not yet recovered. In the end, the question is not whether a civilization older than Egypt existed, but how much of our past has been forgotten. The evidence challenges us to remain open, to question what we think we know, and to accept that history is far larger than the fragments we have pieced together. Beneath the surface of the world, we recognize lies another story, one written in stone rather than words, waiting for those willing to look beyond accepted truths. If such a civilization once existed, its legacy is not lost entirely. It lives on in the monuments, myths, and unanswered questions that continue to shape our understanding of who we are and where we came from. Subscribe to this channel for more.